Welcome back to Tucker Carlson Tonight, live from Tokyo, Japan, ahead of the president's visit to this country for the G20. Back in the United States, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota has created a lot of problems for the Democratic Party since she came to Washington in January. Now, reporters are finally taking a closer look at allegations from several years ago, well-publicized allegations, but widely ignored in the media, that Omar may have committed immigration-related marriage fraud. According to Omar's telling, she married her first husband, Ahmed Hirsi, in 2002, but only in a religious ceremony. She then separated from him, again only religiously, and then illegally married her second husband, Ahmed Nursed Elmi. Omar says she separated from Elmi in 2011 and reconciled with Hirsi, but she only legally divorced Elmi in 2017, if you can even keep up with that. Not easy. According to the Washington Examiner, though, several documents indicate that Omar and Hirsi were still living together for her entire marriage to Elmi. And that raises the question of whether her marriage to Elmi was, in fact, a sham from the first day. Omar herself could probably clear that up if she wanted to, but so far her office has persistently refused to answer any questions on the matter. Steve Drazkowski is a Republican state representative from the state of Minnesota, and he joins us tonight. Thanks very much for coming on tonight. So I'm not sure that we explained that, or I explained that very clearly to our viewers, but give us the quick overview of how likely it looks that Congresswoman Omar may have committed marriage fraud.
Well, I think it looks very likely, actually. As you mentioned, a lot of these documents have been dug up. David Steinberg and others have done a great job over the last 3 years now digging up this information and putting it out there. The Minnesota media has simply failed to act, and the Minnesota media is decidedly liberal, and they are attached to the PC culture so much that they aren't doing their job here. And, you know, I think it begins with the Star Tribune needs to take down their picture of Ilhan Omar that's posted on their office wall. So that's really what we're dealing with here in Minnesota, Tucker, and I really appreciate you covering this here tonight. But, you know, this whole thing, my involvement in this began really about a year ago when I discovered that then State Representative Ilhan Omar had been fined for the third time as a freshman representative here in the state of Minnesota by the Campaign Finance Board, and then I discovered that she had actually taken money then from the public universities in the state that the committee upon which she served made funding decisions. It was a direct violation of Minnesota House rules, but the interesting thing is Representative Omar covered the whole thing up by waiting a full 5 months and violating the law to cover it up so that she could make it past her endorsing convention, which happened 3 days before she finally posted the information, and she could avoid an inquiry from the Minnesota House Ethics Committee at that time because we were already out of session.
So not surprising. This is someone whose family was rescued by the generosity of American taxpayers, shows up and immediately starts denouncing her new country as racist and unworthy of her. Quickly, if she did, in fact, commit marriage fraud, what would be the motive?
Well, some are saying that maybe, I know probably the leading thought is it might be FAFSA fraud, the student aid fraud, because both her and Ahmed Elmi were students at North Dakota State University for a number of years, 2009 to 2011, I believe. And they actually, and some of the stuff the Washington Examiner covered yesterday, actually David Steinberg brought that forward a year or two ago now, actually showed, the address records show that both of them, and actually all three, Representative Omar, Ahmed Elmi, and Ahmed Hirsi, all lived at the same address, at least on 2 different occasions. 2 of them were while they were going to the North Dakota State University. So I think that's kind of the leading theory. But the thing is, Tucker, like you said, all of this information has been out there. The media generally, especially in Minnesota, has been unwilling to act.
Of course. You come to the country, you scam our system, you hate us, and we feel like we can't say anything about it. So it really tells you everything. Representative, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tucker.